Hey, what's up, San Benito Multimedia? This is Mr. Campbell coming to you with some new introductions to some new programs. So we're doing today Adobe Illustrator, our first day in the second grading period. We're going to talk about this new program. We've been doing Adobe Photoshop, and Photoshop is pixel based. So if I switch screens here and look at pixels, in terms of pixels, when I zoom in on a pixel-based image or a bitmap image, also known as a raster image, I can see pixels. I can zoom in on them and see lots of pixels. And if I zoom in Illustrator, and I can actually put pixel images in Illustrator, I can actually drop them in. But most of the time, when I'm using Illustrator, I'm using it for other purposes. So if I zoom in on this shape, I'm going to zoom in like crazy, and I'm never going to see pixels, not once. Now, there are actually pixels present because this is being displayed on a screen. But generally speaking, the image is not composed of pixels. It is composed of points and lines. So if I choose this point here, I can bend the shape. In Photoshop, I'd have to redraw the whole thing. But in After Effects, in Illustrator, I can just adjust the points and the curves. And in addition to that, I can change the colors quickly and easily just by changing this. And let's make the whole thing blue. And let's make the stroke a different color, like red. Let's change that up all the way. And I can change the thickness of the stroke around the outside. I can make it bigger. I can choose to put it on the outside or the inside or on the middle or whatever. So there's all kinds of things I can do with this that make Illustrator a different thing to work with. And it's good for some things and not for others. So knowing when to use Photoshop and when to use Illustrator is one of the things we're learning to develop in our studies as a multimedia class. Because eventually we need to figure out how do we use which one. When do we choose Illustrator or Adobe Photoshop when we're putting into video projects later on in our studies. So that said, let's talk a little bit about layers first. So you do have a layers panel over here. If you can't find it, go to Window and make sure layers is activated. And sometimes it'll be closed, it'll be hidden. If you lose everything, you can always go to Window, Workspace, and choose Essentials. And I'm going to choose Reset Essentials. And where's my layers? There it is. So Properties is here. Properties is really useful in a lot of vector programs because it contains the information about the stroke and the fill. That is the outline and the fill of the shape. Some of those are also over here in the tool panel. And I like to put my tool panel set to 2 up. So I'll click on this arrow to make all my tools visible. So that said, let's go to layers and I'm going to lock and hide this layer. And I'm going to go make another new layer. So down here, next to the garbage can, there's a little piece of paper with a fold in it. Don't choose the other one. Not a new sublayer, not clipping masks. We're strictly choosing a new layer. And I'm going to go ahead and hide the other ones just so I can work on this one and show you some cool stuff. So our initial information here is about text and type, as it's called in Illustrator. So here's the type tool. And if you collapse like this, it's right there. T for type gives us the type tool. And there are 2 ways of using type. One is called point type. And in point type, I'm going to click once. So I'm going to say point type. Click once and type. So that's hard to read. It's too small. So what I'm going to do with this is drag the corner out. I'm using Shift. Or if I don't use Shift, I can make it completely whatever shape I want. Okay. This is the point type example. And in point type, I can rotate it. Okay. I can scale it. I can even smoosh it backwards. So that's pretty weird. That's point type. Click once and type. And then there's another thing called area type. Now you're going to use the same, there's an area type tool. Not going to go there right now. But area type is like you're doing a paragraph. So I'm going to click the type tool. It's just the basic type tool. Click and drag, and it fills it up with a bunch of text. Now notice about this text that as I squish it, it doesn't change the type. It changes the area. So what it does is it continues to word wrap. So at the end of a line, it squishes the stuff onto the next line. So as I'm working my way through this, I can also rotate either one of these. If I rotate this one with the point type, then I can take this and rotate it like this. Whereas if I rotate this one, I can rotate it this way. So what you'll be doing in this is there's 2 exercises. One in which you're going to get a template. You're both going to get a template for both of them. And what it says here is double click the text with the selections tool. Selections tool is the black arrow. This is kind of an old document, so let's change this. Look, we have the selection tool and the direct selection tool. The selection tool will grab, rotate, squish, squash, scale objects, and the direct selection tool will, as we saw earlier, allow me to, I'm sure I had a picture here of an ellipse. If I put an ellipse in place, the direct selection tool lets me grab points and edit and manipulate individual pieces this way. So sometimes it's hard to grab the handles. Anyways, so what we're doing in this case is you're going to take the this tool. These layers should be locked when you get them. So if you double click here where it says work, and you can put your name in there. So you can push Control A to select everything. And in this case, we're keeping it pretty basic and not changing it. Now these points down here, the page is separated and you have to read the directions. This one is click and type. This is going to be point type, area type, and area type. So this page is pretty basic. What you can do here is click in here and type your name. And you're going to click once, just click once. And it usually comes up with some filler text like lorem ipsum. That's a historical precedent. When printers were designing various pages, they would just use this bunch of lorem ipsum stuff. It's kind of fake Latin. So what I'm going to do there is type in my name. Again, I'm Elvis Presley today. I'm probably spelling my name wrong. Anyways, so I can take that and you can change the type, font, and some will come in bigger than others. Like that one comes in kind of large. But then you can stretch this to fill the box. So you want to actually fill the box with this one. And get the type tool and click here. Key in the name of your school. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to type in the name of my school. And again, I can take this and squish and stretch the text to fill whatever area I want. That is point type. All right, that's point type. Now area type, same exact tool, different usage. So here you're going to type in the Pledge of Allegiance. I would recommend copying and pasting it, which I didn't do today. So I pledge allegiance is one word, and I'm going to choose a different font for this because in this case I'm going to be using something like a paragraph, and paragraphs are good with Arial or other things. So we're trying to think, this is for reading. So some are for reading and some are for, well, they're all for reading, but some are for reading paragraphs and some are for display or titles or decoration. So in this case, it's going to have, let's get my typing here right, United States, and again, you should copy and paste. It's fine. America. And to the Republic, etc. So in this case, I have word wrap because I clicked and dragged. It says click and drag right there. So I can take this and the word wrap works. Same thing with over here for Lincoln Park scrolling. And your job is at the bottom is to explain the differences in this little paragraph here with area type. Now the second one has a few more challenges. Look up the name of the Latin name for element. I don't actually remember what it is. But in this case, if I click type, in this case you want to use point type by clicking and typing because you want to rotate the text and have the text rotate. In the case of this piece here, we want the first 6 lines of the song American Pie by Don McLean. You want to click and drag for that one and create area type because when you rotate it, the lines will stay flat. So give that a shot. It's your start into Adobe Illustrator. And have a great time, and I'll see you in class.